way we met at church. He was singing on a quartet. And that's what drew us together, because everywhere they went, I was there. He could sing.
I remember when he used to sing in a quartet, and I was a little boy standing around in the room watching, and I think that inspired me to want to sing. Talking about his voice, it just amazed me that as he got older, myself, my voice gets rougher as I get older. Melvin's voice was just as clear as it was when he was a young man. So, you have to know that he had a gift.
After a few years after we were in Tennessee, God called him to preach. And when he called him to preach, he gave his all to it. He did not just preach. When he was in the pulpit, he preached to us at home, teaching us how to live and how to handle life. When he first started preaching and came home and told me he had to do what God was calling him to do, I never wanted a preacher, but I told him this. I said, now, if you're going to be a preacher, you be a real preacher. Don't be no jackleg. And God blessed him as he went along. And I know if anybody made it, Melvin made it.
The thing that I admired the most, I wish I could be the preacher that he is. He had the sweetest voice you ever wanted to hear, and was such an awesome man of God.
You talking about somebody could preach? He was an awesome preacher and could sing. Never in my life heard a sermon delivered like he delivered it. I understood everything that he would say. He made everything perfectly clear for me to understand. Sit down and now come along. Be glad that he gave you a seat.
He was the most dignified man, but he was the most humble and fun-loving man. The lovingest, caringest man that I have ever witnessed in my entire life.
He was so sentimental. He was just quiet.
He had that soft spirit about him, very loving.
He was sincere in whatever he did, whatever he said. As a little girl, Uncle Melvin was like a movie star to me. It was like when Uncle Melvin came in the room, it's just like he lit up the room, and I would get butterflies. It was just, his whole demeanor about him was just, I had the utmost respect for him, and it was just awesome. I mean, he was just a wonderful person, a sweet person.
I remember about Granddad the most is when I had my accident and I got shot in the head, and he came all the way up to Fort Wayne to see me, and I remember hearing his voice, because I was in and out of consciousness, and I was hearing his voice. And I remember waking up, and I said, "Mom, was Granddaddy here?" And they were like, "Yes, he was here, but he went home." And so they called him and said, "Melvin, TJ asked about you. He said he heard your voice." So Granddaddy turned around and drove 9 hours back to Fort Wayne just to see me, simply because he knew that I asked him about it.
Well, the same thing is happening everywhere, and sometimes it just hit close home to make us aware of the real need to stay on the field.
Personality. He was always had you on the floor laughing, always had some type of joke.
He was so funny, his quick snapbacks.
Tell jokes, and he would say it, and you'll kind of think for a minute, and then it'll hit you what he said, and you just fall out laughing.
A jokester, he loved a joke, he kept you laughing all the time.
Oh, great. Ask him what's the record, babe. Ask him what's the record.
What's the record?
Oh, I build his hope up and let him win by 5 or 6. Cause he wouldn't have played. He wouldn't even played with me if I had won from the beginning. So I made him think he was a good player, and now I'm finna tear him up.
How do you feel? He was a giver. He was very much a giver. And it's so funny because even though I already knew that he was a giver, just since his passing, people have contacted me via Facebook, email, text, telling me deep things, like stuff they never told anyone that my dad did for them. Like one of my girlfriends said he paid for a balance of her schooling, and I was like, oh my God, my dad is awesome.
I do remember. On every birthday, when I was a little girl, he always remembered my birthday. If nobody else remembered my birthday, Uncle Melvin will always remember. He gave me a card, and however old I was, that was the amount of money that I got for my birthday.
All of the Christmases, he always came in. We would get our gifts, and at the end of getting your gifts, everybody would look around and look for Granddaddy to see where he was, and here he would come with all these envelopes, and everybody was always waiting on the envelopes because there was always a treat in them.
As a young man, you would always need, a little extra cash. And I know I can remember from a very young person that, but every time I would go to my father, he would talk to me for a long time, and sometimes he would talk to me so long I would just be like, man, I don't need it, man. I'll get you the next time. But after the long talks, he would always deliver. But after he gave me the money, he would always tell me that, Michael, say one day you're going to come to me, and I may not have it, son. And I would be ready to go, and he would make sure I hear it. He said, Michael, do you hear me? He said, one day you're going to come to me, and I may not have it. And I would like to say right here and now that that day never came, and I will always remember that. I learned how to be a man from Melvin Jordan. There are some people that talk it, and there are others that walk it. I watched Melvin Jordan, and everything that I try to be is because of what I saw in him.
I remember growing up, and I used to see all the other grandkids go off with both their parents and things like that, as well as my brother when his father used to come pick him up. And I remember time being sad when he came to me talking about, don't be sad, talking about, you have a father, I'm your father. Then he talking about not only that, we also have a greater father, talking about Jesus Christ himself. We weren't able to spend that much time together because he was always working or always busy, visiting the sick or things of that nature. But when he did, he'd call me in his office, and we'd sit and talk, hold hands, pray, and just talk about life. And he would get me in the car, we just ride and talk. And he was the closest thing to a father figure I have. He was my father.
Granddaddy always came home from church. It was late, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I can tell he probably had other things on his mind, but he always found time to play and spend time with me and my brother. And he would wrestle with us on the floor for hours. And he played this game. It was called, I don't know if it was really a game, but he always asked, who's the man of this house? And we used to always say, I am. And he used to wrestle with us and wrestle with us and wrestle with us. Then he asked us again, who's the man of the house? And we'll say, I am, Granddaddy, I am. And then after hours of playing until my brother bumped his head or something, we finally say, Granddaddy, you're the man. And you know what, Granddaddy, you are that man. And I find myself playing that same game with my daughter. And I thank you for putting an imprint on my life, helping me to be a good father and a great husband. So I thank you for that, Granddaddy.
I remember Dad and I used to travel all the time. We traveled. He was my best friend. We slept together. We shared together. We were like two kids together. And I remember going to the national convention in Los Angeles, and I told him, man, I want to take you to Las Vegas. And so we rented a convertible. We let down the top. And we hit that long stretch out in the desert between Las Vegas and Los Angeles. And I let that hot sun hit that bald head, and he was laughing like a kid, and we were stopping, and I was speeding, and we just had so much fun. I was able to let my hair down. He was able to let his hair down, and I'm going to miss him. Every man should have a best friend like my daddy, my mentor, my father.
What I'm going to miss most about him, riding alongside of me, we talking, and just doing things for him. I just got a joy and a pleasure of taking care of him. That's my dad, and I loved him to death. I'm not going to be selfish. We all loved him. And I'm going to miss him. I'm really going to miss him. Me and Sarah going to miss him.
I love him. Always have. Always will. We love you, Daddy.
He's the world's greatest husband. He's the world's greatest father and the world's greatest grandfather. And we gonna all just miss him. Don't miss him. That's what I love about my dad. I love him, and I know how I'm gonna miss him. But I know God is gonna take care of me.
As long as I live, and until the day I die, I will continue to make sure that your legacy lives on through me and my children.
I miss him, and I know if I live right, that I'll see him again.
I love you, Daddy. I love you, and I know you knew that. I know you knew that you were my number one. I love you, and I knew in my heart that you loved me. I knew that. And that's all that matters, because when you love someone, you do right by them. And that's what he did. He was awesome.
When tomorrow starts without you and your jokes and songs we can no longer hear, when the days turn into months and the months turn into years, we will still remember the impact that you made on so many lives, and to replicate your kindness, we will forever strive.
When tomorrow starts without you and your hug we can no longer feel, we will still smile from knowing that you have now been healed. Although your physical body will be absent and your spirit has been set free, we are at peace and filled with joy because your soul is now with thee. We love you always and forever.